Travis Wingate Sill. We've had numerous examples of natural disasters, fires, tornadoes, hurricanes, frosts, or deep freezes. And so, in those circumstances, there's always been people who refuse to seek shelter, who refuse to evacuate, and as a result, people die because they just refuse to protect themselves during an emergency. And in those cases, we give them their freedom to die. It's sad, especially if those people are not loved, or they reject the love that others have for them, to heed the warnings to seek shelter and save their lives. And obviously with this coronavirus, it's completely different. We can't see the danger. And yet we still have people who step up and say, I don't care if I die. I'm not going to seek shelter. I'm not going to protect myself. But this is different in that we also have to protect others from you. Because human beings are the threat. Yes, it's the virus, but people transmit the virus. And nobody seems to understand that. And what we are witnessing are not only mass numbers of people who just don't care about dying, but they don't care about whether others die along with them. And so I don't know if my stake and my ward are having meetings this morning. President Hall still has the original "we're closed" paperwork up on the doors, despite the church saying this week, we're opening up, we're going back to church, as the threat is not over, as people are even more at risk than we were in the beginning when we first shut down. There are far more cases now than there were in the beginning, because we didn't stop it in time. We were late. And we didn't stop it thoroughly. We allowed certain businesses to remain open. Because in a hurricane, for example, all necessary businesses even close. But for a hurricane, it's shorter term. And so people rush to the grocery stores knowing they've got time before the threat arrives. And then they seek shelter or evacuate. And then afterwards, everybody cleans up and recovers from the damage. But because this was allowed into our country, because this was allowed to escalate, because we were slow to respond, because we were negligent in providing the necessary equipment and tools and protections and testing, it's unstoppable now. And so what's necessary is for staying home for much longer than just 2 weeks. If we had done it immediately, when we heard the first case, either on that cruise ship or in China, if we had shut down our whole borders, all ports of entry, having everybody tested and isolated for 2 weeks, we would not be here now. Everything would be better, everything would be back to normal. You'd have your lifestyle back. You wouldn't have much to repair, because there wouldn't be much damage at all. Because our government, those in positions who know how to handle this, would have handled it rather than causing it. I mean, can you imagine as a firefighter when I got a call that we all just said, oh, okay, yeah, I'm kind of busy right now, I'll get to it when I'm freed up. Why am I a firefighter if I'm not going to respond to a fire? These things are just obvious. It's not common sense. I hate common sense. I hated it as a kid because it didn't make any sense. And sure enough, when I finally learned fallacious arguments and how to not use them, but use sound arguments instead, yeah, sure enough, my mom was wrong. But that's the sad thing that we're witnessing, is that there is a high hatred for humanity. That's why it stunk. And there are consequences, like animals coming down into the cities, searching for food, because the threat of man has lessened. But mankind is now coming back out because we refuse to accept an indefinite lockdown. Our government refuses. They're the ones saying, hey, come on back to work. We don't want to pay you welfare. We don't want to pay you welfare indefinitely. Even though we caused you to have welfare indefinitely, we don't want you to. See, if they didn't want us to have welfare, they should have shut us down from the beginning, had us locked down for 2 weeks, and then we all go back to work. Life resumes. They wouldn't have to have paid us anything in welfare. They wouldn't have had to pay us extra for SNAP. They wouldn't have had to pay us, bail out businesses. They wouldn't have had to do any of the financial consequences because they failed to respond from the beginning. Again, they caused this, and then the consequences resulted. They don't like the consequences that resulted. They don't want to have to deal with them, and so they put our lives in danger. And the church also is guilty of this. Nelson isn't a medical doctor. He knows. See, I knew. Not only was I a firefighter trained, search and rescue trained, first aid trained, CPR trained, EMT trained, security guard trained. Many of you are also. We understand what's necessary during an emergency situation. And we've created a society where we don't accept consequences. We don't hold ourselves accountable for the consequences that we cause. And so Nelson, why didn't he shut down the church from the beginning? And we're going to go to online church services until this is over with. Nope. He did what all the other leaders did. Help cause it. Help escalate it. Put Mormon lives in danger as a medical doctor who knows better. He knows about viruses and the need to shut things down immediately. He should have recognized that the world was allowing it to escalate. He should have immediately sent the missionaries home and closed everything down and gone online for everything from there on out to save Mormon lives as a religious leader of Mormons. But nope. He's participating in the murder of Mormon lives. And he knows better. Elder Renland, also on the church's website. Let me read to you the summary of what he said. Renland is also a medical doctor, a cardiologist. And here he is, talking about coronavirus and what Mormons should do. He says, personal revelation. Oh dear God. Personal revelation essential in easing coronavirus restrictions? What the hell is he talking about? This is the Mormon channel. So, yes, it's not his quote, but this is the church summarizing what he's telling this person here being asked the question. He's a medical doctor, and he's saying, oh yeah, Mormons should just have personal revelation that will tell them how to ease restrictions. Oh my God. This is what we're dealing with. Our leaders want us dead. Our government, business, and church. Oh dear God. I've been threatened with my life before. I know what it's like to want or know that people want me dead. I've had death threats. My physical life was in danger. My physical life was tortured. I know what it's like. You guys haven't had that experience for the most part. There are a few of you who tell me about your horror stories as well. But oh my God, do you not understand what they are saying about you? They're threatening your lives. They're giving you a death threat. I recognize it because I've experienced it before, numerous times over. Not just from the church, but from businesses and from government. I know what it's like to be threatened with your life, to be tortured. An Elder Runland? A prophet of God? Doing sacred work in quarantine. No, you don't do work everything is supposed to be shut down. And in quarantine, they messed up the word. It's isolation. Quarantine is when you have the virus. Isolation is when you've been exposed to somebody who has the virus. Or you're taking precautions to protect yourself from getting it. And so you're supposed to be waiting those 14 days, 12 days, 14 days, until it goes away. But because everybody else isn't doing it, it has to be longer than just the 2-week period. Because they're trying to murder us. And so they don't even get the right word. I mean, this is the warning I've been giving you guys. They don't love you. They don't care about you. They want you dead. And right there, Elder Runland, personal revelation essential in easing of coronavirus restrictions. Oh dear God, he just sent everyone a death threat. The church, when they said, oh, we're going to finally start shutting things down, but step by step, we're going to let the virus increase first to determine how much we're going to shut down. That's a death threat. President Russell M. Nelson threatened the lives of all his Mormons. The shepherd locked and loaded his gun and pointed it at the sheep of his fold that he's supposed to protect. The wolf is in charge of the sheep pen. Oh dear God. And what are they doing during this time? They have Sister Bingham also. They've had other prophets go up here. How I hear him. That's the distraction while they have their guns locked and loaded, trying to murder you. Come on back to church. Personal revelation will magically cure coronavirus with a fast. Remember that? Dear God. It's saying, Irene, he goes before us. Is he? Because like I said, the shepherds have their guns locked and loaded, and they're shooting the sheep. How is that he goes before us? I hope you don't fall for it. I hope you recognize the danger we're in. I hope you're not drinking bleach. I hope you're not taking hydroxychloroquine. I hope you're not going out in public. I hope you're wearing a mask and gloves if you go out in public. You don't need gloves as much. Surfaces aren't the problem. It's our breath. That's why it's a mask that we need to be wearing especially. But oh, no, they're testing ultraviolet light. No. It's not going to stop it. Nothing is going to stop it until we have a vaccine. We're nearing 100,000 dead. Utah getting up to 100 dead. And that's only what's been reported. Yesterday's numbers, I noticed that there were healthcare workers that escalated the numbers in the assisted living that they've added. but there were no new cases of the actual patients from those new assisted living facilities. But that tells me we will soon see those numbers go up also within the next few days, because that's how it works. Those who get infected infect others, and we see those results within a few days. 3 to 5 days. Trump, remember? The valet? He had it. Well, why doesn't Trump have it? Oh, because Trump is taking hydroxychloroquine to prevent having it. Oh, dear God. No, he's not. He knows he's going to die if he takes that drug. They've told him. He's not dumb. He just pretends to be dumb because he's illiterate. Illiterate people are not necessarily dumb. They just use a different part of smarts. And so Trump knows, no, sir, hydroxychloroquine kills people. That's why he's telling people to take it. That's why he's telling people to drink bleach. That's why he's telling people to go back to work, go back to church. It's because he wants you dead. He doesn't care about his loyal fans. Go kill yourselves. Be warriors. He's causing people to be martyrs when the attackers are the leaders themselves. Not an enemy threat. It's our own leaders who are our enemies. And government, business, and religion. They are our enemy. So, I would like to say that I have hope for the future. I don't. I don't see the necessary response that will give us hope. Trump has the vaccine, and he's refusing to give it to us. And so all these other pharmaceutical companies are getting rich with grant money to continue to exist without coming up with a vaccine. Because once they come up with a vaccine, no more grant money. They can just keep saying, oh, we're so close, just another several hundred million, we'll get there. But, you know, like HIV, we have no vaccine for that, but, you know, we have other remedies for pain, for symptoms. You know, it's just going to cost people a lot of money if they get the virus. Alrighty. So, don't go to church, guys. I know. This is someone who knows about emergency response. You guys, many of you have had experience with emergency response. So I hope for this you will listen, because you yourself know and recognize the danger.